So I want to say something as a preface to today's class. So one of the this is I think we're in for a really cool class today, but it deserves a certain preface on my part. I am deeply committed to discovery of new ideas. And when I am absolutely committed to just getting all of us to see some things that we haven't seen. So last class, for example, I put the Bible scripture from Corinthians up, and I said, hey, look, here are all these, the holy book for Christians says that if you commit these acts, you're going to have a hard time getting into heaven and this sort of thing. It doesn't say anything about what I believe. I haven't said anything about what I believe and what I think and how that matters to me, and the idea that I'm actually really fascinated by theology and interpretation and holy books. And I'm really fascinated by the idea that any particular path toward God can lead people to be better than they were yesterday or more close-minded than they were yesterday. It doesn't really matter what it is. And so you can interpret that scripture in a way, this is just an example. You could interpret that scripture in a way that says, okay, yeah, but that's not really what it means, and it really means this other thing here, and it actually opens us to seeing something with greater understanding and clarity. I can interpret it that way. In fact, I do interpret it that way. But it doesn't belie the fact that many people have a very sort of strict black and white interpretation of these kinds of things, and they don't see it that way. And people use holy texts or texts that are holy as ways to do some really horrible things in the world. But me putting that up there doesn't mean that I think that all Christians do that. In fact, I would argue that, in fact, the vast majority of Christians who I know and I'm connected to actually wouldn't use that verse to put down other people. But I do know that as human beings, it's really easy to be selective. And, we point one finger out at other people and we have three coming back at us. And so I'm always going to identify the sins in other people, the problems in other people, before I identify them to me. Hang on, that's not true. I think there's a human inclination on the part of many, if not most of us, most of the time, to identify the problems in other people before we identify them in ourselves. It's just easier to see. It's harder to see things in ourselves, right? So that's all. I'm just pointing that out. When I do something like that, I'm pointing it out. I'm not critiquing. I'm not condemning. I'm not whatever. It doesn't matter to me. This is all just ways of thinking. With that in mind, I just want to say something. I was thinking about this the other day because I thought, so I had a friend who is a really serious Christian, really serious. And we met because he was walking around the neighborhood proselytizing, and my wife, he passed by our house, and my wife said, hey, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm here just talking to people. She said, well, why didn't you stop at our house? He said, oh, I don't know. And well, he was preaching, sharing the word of the Christian teachings, right? So we said, well, come on in. So he started coming over a lot, and we became friends to the extent that we would have dinner and so on. And this guy was serious. Not only was he was like Gary the Willard Preacher. You may not like Gary the Willard Preacher, but here's the problem, man. Gary the Willard Preacher, he is consistent in the way he sees things. And, you may think, okay, he's not really consistent according to you, but according to what I can ascertain and have ascertained, I'm like, man, every university needs a Gary the Willard preacher, because you need someone that you can have these kinds of arguments. He does more good for critical thinking at this university than the vast majority of your professors, in my humble opinion. But because we're thinking, Gary and I used to do a debate as a fundraising thing for a project that we had here, and it wasn't a debate. I would just kind of sit back and listen to him because he was so interesting. But nonetheless, so our friend was really just a beautiful, beautiful human being. He embodied Christianity in a way the Christian philosophy in a way that was really rare in my life. And I've been around the world with Christians and work with churches and lots of things, just rare. I love this man. So one day, his child was getting married. I'm not going to go deeply into it, but his child was getting married. And was getting married outside of his church. Now, he lived his church. He lived it. He walked it. I mean, it was just beautiful. It was a lovely friend. And I didn't, my wife and I, we would pray. Every time he came over, we'd pray, and he would say the prayers, and it was, Christian prayers, right? And that's not really what we are, but it's fine. It's all good, right? But it was lovely. So of course, oh my God. So anyway, his child was getting married, and he said, he came over one day, just showed up, and he said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, let's talk." And he said, "So, so-and-so is getting married," and who I knew, right? A lovely person, and but getting married outside the church, and I can't go to the wedding. Only child. And I'm like, whoa, you're right. You can't go to. So I said, huh. He said, what do you think? Because even people in my church are having a problem with this. And I said, listen, my friend, you are the most consistent human being I've ever met in terms of your religion. And the problem I have is if you just suddenly change your thinking and your philosophy, and not a problem. I said, look at it like this. If you suddenly change your thinking and your philosophy such that, well, I know I have all these thoughts and feelings, etc., but now my child is getting married outside the church, and okay, well, I'm going to go to the wedding because I know I have these thoughts, but still it's my child, and I said, what if you do that? What kind of person are you? What's it mean for your belief system? This is your belief system. This is who you are. They know it. Everybody knows it. This is you, my friend, my lovely friend. And I said, so I 100% support, if you decide not to go, I, the atheist sociologist, 100% support you following your spiritual path and not going to the wedding of your only child who's asking you to go because you are following your holy path. And who would you be if you follow the path and then you hit the wall and you just go, oh, well, whatever. I know that wall, that's there for other people, but I'm actually going to go down this path here because it's your child? I said, come on, man. It's not your child. This is a child of God. You're a child of God. I'm a child of God. So anyway, he ended up not going to, not because of me, but I just supported him. So you could imagine that, who's this knucklehead Sam Richards? Of course, you would think, of course, I would tell him, you got to go to your, no, I wouldn't tell him that. No, you don't have to go. This is the complexity, right? This is the holy moment. And you could say, well, what kind of parent is he? Because, well, I would say, what kind of parents are your parents who are forcing you to take a major and study something you don't want to study? How about that? Oh, but my parents would go to my wedding. Yeah, and they're forcing you to study something you don't want to do. They're going to be dead, and you're going to be in some occupation that you don't really want to do, and you're going to be like, oh, my God. And your parents are dead in the grave, and you're stuck with a life that isn't yours. It's theirs. What kind of parents are those? So anyway, my friend, what a lovely, anyway, that's my vision of life. So if you think you, dude, did I hit a raw nerve in anybody? Did I get you? Right? Like, okay. That's why I don't have kids, because Jesus, I couldn't. Okay, but you understand. So anyway, those of you who are religious and who think maybe I'm hitting on religion or God a little bit too much or whatever, it's cool. It's all good. It's all good. You know what I mean? I'm standing up for God. Damn, I don't know. All right. Okay, so listen. We're going to talk about double standards and selective avoidance. That was a story about double standards. Because had he followed the path and gone to the wedding, that would have been a double standard. It's like, don't do the double standard, my friend. That's it. You either have a belief system or you don't. You either follow the path of God or you don't. Okay. And you could say, well, that's not really God. And I'm like, don't judge. Okay. So, case study. I need my peeps. We got two volunteers. Yo, bro. Oh, yeah. That's right, man. Yep. And then, you know who I need? I have two volunteers, and we're going to be ready for in a hot second. Hey, and I need one more person who's like a hardcore liberal. Like, maybe like someone who was protesting Sean's event last night. How about that? Anyone was protesting Sean's event last night, the Turning Point event? Is the clown here? We need the clown. Where's the clown? Fuck. Actually, in Boston? Yeah. Oh, damn, all right. Actually, okay, it's just going to be you two. How about that? You can sit back here, actually. Wait, unless we want to have, is there anybody from the Caribbean? Let's get one more person. Someone who's from the Caribbean. Who's like Haiti? Bro, you're from Haiti, right? You're Haitian, right? Aren't you Haitian? I thought you were. All right, man. Dude, we got a partner in crime. All right, man. Dude, this is your time to shine. All right. There you are. There you are. There you are. All right. Joe, okay, we're going to start here. Just say your name, where you're from,
I'm Ron. I'm from Bristol, Pennsylvania. It's like 15 minutes north of Philly.
So, in your ancestry is Haitian?
Yeah.
Both parents?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, man. Have you ever been to Haiti?
Yeah, one time.
One time? When?
Like 2009, 2008, something.
Yeah,
like
right before the earthquake? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, man.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Taiki. I'm from Philly. Bobby in the county. Yeah, who's there? Stand up in the county.
All right. Wait, Ron? Taiki?
Taiki.
From Philly. Pittsburgh, Philly, in the house. What do you got?
I'm Taylor. I'm from D.C.
Dude, Pittsburgh, Philly, and D.C. Taylor. What's your ancestry? How do you identify?
Black, African American.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Black.
Okay. All right, listen, man. What do you want? This is dark chocolate, and this is peanut butter. Dark chocolate or peanut butter, my friend? Dark chocolate or peanut butter?
Dark chocolate, please.
All right, man. Can you eat that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, man. Oh, North Philly? Oh, sorry, man. North of Philly.
Not north.
Philly. Yeah. And, dude, my tinnitus is really, really, I'm not going to be able to hear anything today. My tinnitus is so bad, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so we good to go? All right, man. So here's what you do. We're gonna watch a video. So you can just kind of turn your chairs. You can kind of move out here so you can see the screen a little bit. It's about 7 minutes, so be comfortable, bro. All right, man.
History to trace back from, and to see that people are living like that in this day and age in that kind of condition is really upsetting.
Mm-hmm. And that people are experiencing. How is it knowing that people are experiencing exactly what your ancestors experienced?
I feel like, obviously it's upsetting, but to see it is a different kind of experience, because slavery, you really only see, well, obviously you see pictures and things like that, but to see it firsthand in a video is a different experience.
Yes, it is. It's very unsettling.
I think it's difficult to see, especially seeing that no one is doing anything to really stop it. I know chocolate companies have come together and they're supposed to buy their cocoa from suppliers that are using legal workers, and that's just like to cut down the slavery and the illegal working that's been done in Ivory Coast and in Ghana. But I think they need to do like a better job, because when people use cheap labor, they can then sell their product cheaper to like American companies, like companies that are buying cocoa, like all the chocolate companies around the world. So it's just like their job, especially to make sure that they're buying proper cocoa from people that are doing legit business and not just slaves.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Good point. We'll get to a couple of those things. I do want to just say, however, there actually are quite a number of people who are very actively engaged in stopping modern-day slavery. In fact, the person who funded this video is a friend of mine who spoke in this class, has spoken in this class many times over the years, and which is where I got the footage from. So yeah, but people are doing something, but they could do more, for sure. No question about it. We could know more, but Ron, how about you?
It's just kind of crazy. Like I just ate a piece of chocolate 5 minutes ago.
Oh yeah. Hey, by the way, on that, my friend who has worked he's the one who really put this chocolate issue out into the world about 15 years ago. He said that he can guarantee that unless you have fair trade chocolate that's purchased from, that's sourced from someplace that where there's no slave labor involved, the way cocoa is sort of all comes together in the global marketplace, and because the Côte d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast, produces about 40% of the world's chocolate, he can almost guarantee that in that piece of chocolate that you ate is slave labor. The slaves participated in that chocolate in some way. Might be a very tiny amount, but he can guarantee. So in the same way that your relatives in Haiti, going back many generations, were producing sugar cane in Haiti, he can guarantee that you just ate chocolate that was somehow sourced by people like these men here. So anyway, just to be clear about that. So how is that?
There's kind of no words, like it's still happening now, today, someone across the ocean is a slave right now. That's just kind of crazy.
Dude, more than ever, right?
And so it's something that people eat daily.
What's that?
It's something that people eat daily.
Yeah. Yeah. How is it so you knew a little something about this. Did either of you two, did you know anything about this?
I didn't.
Yeah?
No.
How is that? Because I can pick up my phone, I can grab a phone and just put two words in, chocolate and slavery, and just pages and pages and pages of stuff comes up. How do you think you don't know? How do you think you don't know?
Because people make money off of it. It's like $1 billion.
What's that?
People make money off it. It's $1 billion business.
Yeah. But how do you not know?
Our media doesn't show us. Our media, we don't wake up to news of slaves in Africa. We don't wake up to that news.
Yeah, but our media doesn't show us a lot of things well, that's what white people say when we ask them about race. For example, in the U.S., when we look at people, we go people hey, how do you not think about these issues? How come you haven't thought about this race inequality stuff, whatever it is? And people just say, I don't know. No one really talks about it at that level, right? I hear, in the history books, we hear about the civil rights movement and this and that, but I don't know. No one ever really explained it to me. So in a way, you're saying the same thing.
No.
Yeah, what are you saying?
It's more people are feeling that it's not affecting them. So it's if it isn't affecting me, a lot of people are just going on about their day and not caring, sort of. Like,
All right. Okay. So
people
then, so then let me push back on this. So I just told you that my friend, I could put you in I could give you his cell phone, right? So you knew something about this, and you didn't do anything, so it didn't affect you. So you're not involved because what's your major?
Supply chain.
Supply chain, dude. Perfect. You could be supply chain. You could be involved with Anti-Slavery International. You could dedicate with a degree from the Smeal College of Business at Penn State in supply chain. You could dedicate your life to stopping slavery. You could do more than anybody in this class. All you got to do is dedicate your life to it. But my guess is, even though you knew about it, you didn't think that, hey, that's an option for me?
Option is like to do that, like to get to stopping slavery. No, I actually did think about it. Not like stopping slavery, but more like I wanted to do sustainability.
Okay.
Like I wanted to work in.
Okay,
I wanted
awesome.
to do projects in West Africa
Yep.
to give education and supplies with the Hershey Company. They have projects in Ghana specifically where they are helping farmers grow cocoa better. They're giving them technology. They're also helping the kids become more educated. Like they're giving education to the kids and also giving out supplemental bars that are giving them food every day and stuff like that.
Just teaching, just focusing on sustainability in West Africa would go far, far, far towards stopping this, right? But, okay, and I'm still going to push back a little bit, right? Have you given up, since you first learned about this, you didn't give up chocolate? All right, so then that kind of goes, so you have an understanding of, like, say me, somebody who looks like me, who says, yeah, I know I grew up in the United States, and I know about this stuff, but I read some things, but I only read a little bit. I didn't go too far. So you have an understanding of how it is that people do that. Yeah. All right. How about you? Like, how is it knowing, like, whoa? Like, I actually have a question for you. Because I'm gonna push on this, right? So it's going to seem like I'm really putting you on the spot, and I'm not, okay? I'm not. It's really important. So I can go to my phone right now and get my little thumbs working in my slavery and chocolate. And a whole bunch of stuff comes up, right? And it's in the news. It's always in the news, right? It's here and there, right? It's out there. Like you say, it's not in the news like Donald Trump is the worst president in the world. That's like every day in our news media cycle, right? But so here's my question. What would this is a really edgy question, but I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What would your ancestors say to you about, dude, I can be for you too. I'm going to leave you out of this. One of the two of you. What would your ancestors say to you that when they were going back 150, 200, 250 years ago, when we talked about, like, there weren't photos, there weren't videos. So people heard about slavery, they kind of had an idea, but people didn't have photos. Like, you didn't have access to it. You can pick up a phone and watch videos, right? Because there are hundreds of videos. But you can. And you're not. It's out there. I know about it. How do I know about it, right? Like, what would they say to you? Like, if they were just kind of here, like, hovering over, like, I don't know, what would they say?
I feel like they would say that not only me, but everybody that eats chocolate is like feeding into the suffering of other people, whether you're aware of it or not.
Uh-huh. What would they say to you?
To me?
Yeah, go ahead. What would they say to you?
Like, how could you add to like another person's suffering, even if you didn't know about it? Like,
yeah, even if you didn't know about it, you should have known.
Yeah, you should have known. Yeah.
They might say you should have known. Why didn't you know?
I mean, I can come up with all the excuses that I want, but it's still happening. I still like added to it. There's no excuse for that.
Dude, and I'm not saying you should know. There are things out here that many of you know about, things that are going on that I don't know about. Things that you all probably are aware of that are going on I don't know about. And then I'm a sociologist who should know about these things, right? Like, how do I not know? But it's a question, right, that we're always asking. Because one of the things that I hear oftentimes to Americans, in particular, is like, why don't you know what your government is doing? Your government is sending stuff all around the world. Like, why don't you know? Like, how do you not know? And I'm like, yeah, why do you not know? Come on. And then I look in the mirror, and I'm holding the mirror up, and I'm saying, wait, Sam, why don't you know? And so this is just one of those exercises that I think kind of helps a little bit. Here, okay, so here's another one. What would you say to this guy? So he's saying he wouldn't have anything really nice to say to you all. Y'all just ate 3 pieces of chocolate. And he says, you ate my flesh. You're eating my flesh. What would you say to him?
I would probably ask like what he thinks that I could do, or like America as a, I almost said community, America as a country could do better, or like how he thinks the problem could be solved. Because at the end of the day, I can say that I want to change it as much as I want, but if there aren't policies in place to help, then I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, right. So like you as a person, you can stop eating chocolate. In fact, can I just tell you something? Can I tell you all? My friend, who is one of the world's leading experts on modern day slavery, the one thing he says very clearly is don't boycott things. Like, don't boycott chocolate. It's like, look, it's like the word, don't boycott things. It's like the worst thing you can do. Purchase fair trade things, you know what I mean? Like, be careful about what you purchase, but don't just start boycotting. It's actually not good. It doesn't help. But it makes things worse. So, yeah, so that would be a good example. Like, what could you as one individual, like boycotting wouldn't be good. So, like, okay, so what? Right? What would you, so he's saying you're eating my flesh, that dude. Do you have a thought?
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say something to him, because as much as you want to feel bad or say you're sorry for him, like, how sorry are you for him if you keep eating chocolate, you know? He's in, like, a terrible situation. And, like, of course I want to ask him, what could we do? Is there a possible solution? But, like, there's a lot to be done. But, like, as a person, as one person, as a person that eats chocolate, and as a person that, you know, that fed into the system and that fed into, like, that people are, like, you know, using them, that, like, you really couldn't relate, and it would be hard to relate and feel his pain, really.
Yeah. I know. There's no answer here. By the way, if any of you are sitting out here thinking that there's a really easy answer, there's no easy answer. If my friend was here, he would be very clear with all of us. There is no easy answer. So what you're saying is like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm over here saying, okay, but don't stop eating chocolate, he would say. So, okay, what, right? What would you say to this guy?
I would kind of say the same thing as Sam. Like, I don't even know if I could look him in the eyes. Like, I contributed to the scars on that man's body, and that's just kind of.
Yeah, it's serious, right? This is just one thing you see. So.
Yo, Sam.
Dude, yeah.
Somebody asked on Twitter, how does boycotting not help?
Yeah, because what it does is it stops the supply chain process. It puts even less money into the hands of people who could stop the whole process, right? For example, into the farms that are more sustainable, right? That aren't using slavery. You're boycotting all chocolate. So it's like, even though you're stopping the slave-produced chocolate, cocoa, you're actually boycotting it all, which means now we have none and nobody's making any money, even the good folks. So, yeah, man. It's deeply. By the way, it's cool that the three of you are up here because you have roots to what we talk about slavery here, and you have roots to slavery. So this just hits home for the three. It should hit home for everybody, for all of us. But I know it hits home a little bit differently for the three of you, right? Like it does. I would bring other people up from different backgrounds. Like it's big. But also what it does is helps us to really understand that there are lots of reasons that a lot of people do and don't do certain things, right? By the way, the thing now, though, would be to eat another piece of chocolate.
I don't know about that one, dog. You might have to take that.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, but here's the problem. You can say, I'm not going to eat another piece of chocolate, but what about tonight when your friend says, hey, let's go to the creamery and get ice cream, and your favorite flavor is chocolate, and you're like, what, gonna boycott chocolate the rest of your lives? You're not going to eat chocolate?
I'll try.
I think I'll be more conscious about the decision.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy, also, I buy chocolate by the case. My wife and I buy it by the cases, and we buy fair trade chocolate, and we literally buy chocolate by the cases. It's fair trade. It's much better than this crap. This isn't even chocolate. This is shit, right? I wouldn't eat this if it was the last thing in the world to eat. I wouldn't eat it, but...
Don't diss Hershey's, okay?
Sorry,
I'm
it's not
sick of it.
Hershey's. It's like, oh my God, it's terrible.
That's my home.
Yeah, I know, all right. Okay, hang on. Let's, yeah, by the way, Nestle says if they really adopt the slave reporting processes, this is kind of what you're saying, it's going to come back to the consumers. Oh, so for every chocolate bar, you're going to have to pay, 2 extra pennies. And so this is the argument to not do that, which is kind of silly. By the way, I didn't want to, everybody, but if you have a cell phone, right? Actually, a great amount of, you know what? I'm going to come back to that. I don't want to. I'm going to leave it right here, just for us to keep in mind. The bottom 10%, the poorest 10% of Americans are better off than 2/3 of the world's population by standard health and economic indicators. That's according to the World Bank. The poorest 10% of Americans. So when we think about us, but I need to look out for myself, and I need to try to get ahead, and I need to do something for me and my... Hey man, what are we talking about, right? If we're in this room, you're in the world's elite of the population, right? We're at the global elite. You are part of the elite. You may say, oh, I'm not rich, I'm not in the top 1%. Actually, many of us are in the top 1%, and almost all of us are in the top 5 to 10% in terms of the world's socioeconomic indicators. And it's in the three of you, I'm sure, right? So, because you're here you are at Penn State. And so, we're all doing quite well, actually. Okay, dude, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thanks. Hey, and do you know that I really appreciate you all. You didn't know what you were getting into, but it's just awesome for the rest of us to have the opportunity to just watch people wrestle with these really difficult questions, because you're all in the same boat, right? Look, let me just go back to this really fast. These are minerals that are being mined for your computers and your cell phones, and tantalum we get from coltan, and this is all in your cell phones. This is like some of the most horrific. Look at this children here. They're mining these minerals so that we can have our cell phones and our laptops. We're all in this. And you don't know about it, and okay, it's all good. I didn't know that. How do I not know? Okay, good, but well, look it up. It's actually quite a problem. Just as an example, the number, what's linked to these really, what led to this was what was called the Great War of Africa. So it's the Second Congo War, in which 5.5 million people died, most of them from disease and starvation, but almost 1 million people died as a direct result of war, fighting over these minerals and other things. This is serious. So you're like, oh, I didn't know. The Great War of Africa, my friends. How many of you have heard the Great War of Africa? How many of you know that? How many of you have heard that? We're looking at 5.5 million people between 1998 and 2008. Like, how do you, I know maybe you weren't born, but like, how do we not know that? So we could say, well, we're not taught that in school. Yeah, we're not taught that in school, but we're also agents of our own. We can learn things, and we don't learn things. Why don't we learn them? Why aren't we paying attention? So anyway, I don't know. Okay, so here we go. Let me just see. Hey, I need 2 people who are really big THON people. Like, is anybody really big in THON? Like high up, like, I don't know, whatever you call y'all. Can we have anybody? I need a couple of THON peeps. You're a THON person? What are you like? How high up? You're a captain? Is that a big thing? How many captains are there? Yeah. Anybody higher than a captain? Who's higher than a captain here? Directors, whatever. Any directors here? Seriously? Well, we'll. Have you been up here yet? All right, come on up. Who else wants to come up? Who's big in THON? Yo, who else is big in THON? Come on, give me somebody. I need one other person. Anybody? You're big in THON? What? How big? Higher than a captain? You were on what? Oh, dude. Okay, come on. Let's go. Here we go. Wait, do you want to come? Are you good? Do you want to do it? All right, come on. Here we go. So, have a seat. Do you know each other?
I don't think so. They're meeting, I think. Probably. Yeah.
All right. So, what's your name?
Kristen.
Kristen? All right. Nice to meet you, Kristen.
Kobe.
Kobe and Kristen. Okay. Why are you involved in THON?
Before you ask that, we should probably ask them, because a lot of people on the live stream won't know, what is THON?
THON, tell them what THON is in one line. What is it? You're the social media person. Do it in one sentence.
It's the largest student-run philanthropy in the world. We raise money for our sole beneficiary, 4 Diamonds, that covers all medical costs for any family being treated at Penn State Children's Hospital for cancer. Cool. And it's a 46-hour, no sleeping, no sitting dance marathon.
Awesome. THON, to be clear, THON, from my perspective as a sociologist, is awesome. And THON is awesome for lots of reasons, but the most important reason is because it gives people an opportunity to volunteer for something. And we know that the best indicator or predictor of whether someone will volunteer for something is previous opportunities to volunteer. So when you volunteer, even for a small role in THON, it makes it much more likely that in the future you'll volunteer for other things. And so what THON does is give so many Penn State students opportunities to volunteer for things that they go out and do other things. So THON, you may think THON is really big. Actually, I would argue as a sociologist, THON is really small in the sense that the biggest contribution that THON makes to the world is offering people opportunities to volunteer, which makes them more likely to do so in the future, and all the really cool stuff people do as a result of what they did here at Penn State. So that's why I think that's the biggest contributor that, for THON. Okay, so here we go. So I want to talk about a few things. So forced labor and cotton production in India. So India produces about 20%. I'm just going to go through this stuff, okay? And then I want to have the two of you respond. So India produces about 20% of the world's cotton crops. The average hours that these are all poor people who are working in the cotton fields. The average hours is 10 to 16 hours a day. It's worth $9 billion to the Indian economy. India, by the way, is also is there anybody who's from India here? Are you actually from India? Do you want to come up? Your parents? No, who's actually lives in India? Bro, the tall one? Dude, why don't you come sit up here really fast? Why don't you sit? Hang on, we'll put him down at this end. All right, the tall one now. Can you borrow your microphone? Just say your name again. What's your name again, bro? So,
I'm Pradyumna, the tall dude. I'm from India. I'm a freshman.
got it. AKA the tall one. All right, so India, by the way, did you know this? India has more slaves in the world than any other country. It's estimated about 15 million. So the estimate is like 40 to 45 million slaves, 35 to 40 million slaves. India has about 15 million of those. Did you know that, by the way? You didn't know that? How do you not know that? Because you're busy wearing hoodies at Penn State, maybe. Okay, so listen. So let me say something about insecticides. Cotton is 2.4% of all the global crops in the world. 2.4%, that's it, of cropland is planted by cotton. Nonetheless, cotton accounts for 24% of all the insecticide usage in the world. All the insecticides, all the poisons that we use to kill insects and pests, insecticides are 24% of them go on the cotton crop, and 11% of all the pesticides go on cotton crops. That's a lot of chemicals. It's a lot of poisons, okay? Lots of chemicals, lots of poison. And here they are. Here are some men in India spraying the insecticide. So take a good look at them, what they look like, right? Here, look at here's a young girl picking cotton in India, okay? Here is spraying insecticide in the United States. That's how dangerous these chemicals are in the United States. This is mandatory equipment if you want to spray these chemicals. Once again, here they are in India. Here we are in the U.S. In the Western world. It's not just the U.S., it's Western world. Okay? It's estimated about 200,000 people die from insecticides and from poisonings every year. 200,000 people. And here's some children, because children are very active. Children are used in picking cotton because they're small, and cotton crops are small, and children are small, and their fingers are nimble. And so we see a great deal of child slavery in the cotton industry at all levels, right? So here's two photos. This is from THON. She's a captain. Here's a child, right, from the United States, and here's children with cancer in India. And so, there's no difference, right? There's no difference. They for whatever reason they got cancer. I selected this photo because I think it is a result, best as I could ascertain, of children who had been poisoned. And they're all the same, right? Right? Got it? No one is better than another. And on the same side, we have sweatshop labor. And sweatshops are labor in children. And the estimates of the number of children that are involved in sweatshops is much higher than slavery. So children are not in school. The tens of millions of children who are not in school, tens of millions, including in India, by the way, especially in India, who are making clothing for us and other things for us. Clothing. Every one of us in this room, unless maybe somebody is really actively dealing with this, but every one of us in this room has clothing that's been made in sweatshops by child slaves. Every one of us. Okay? We may not know it, but every one of us does. Okay? Including all of us, right? And to be clear, a sweatshop is unreasonable wages, unreasonable hours, unfair wages, and lack of benefits, and really just horrific work conditions. So here's a sweatshop. Look at this. Imagine working in there 14, 15, or 16 hours a day. Imagine being a child. Go back. What year are you?
Junior.
What year are you?
Senior.
Okay, so go back in 5 years, 6, 7 or 8 years for the two of you, 5 years for you. And imagine working 6 or 7 days a week, maybe like 12 to 15 hours, and getting no wages or very little wages. Like that's your life, right? That's your life. And you just do it because you have no other choice. And you're one of tens of millions of people who are doing that. Okay? Then we have forced labor in Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is produces about 5%. I did this because this is a kind of a Eurasian country, but Uzbekistan produces about 5% of the global population. They're about every year in Uzbekistan, it's a $1 billion industry collecting cotton, and every year it's about 1 million Uzbeks are forced into the cotton fields to collect cotton. Forced, right? And very low wages or no wages. So it's a slavery operation. Okay, so here's the thing. So look at this shot from THON. Now, you ever wonder how when you buy T-shirts, everybody has T-shirts, right? Everybody's got their colored T-shirts. They get them and they wear them and then they throw them. You ever wonder how you can buy a T-shirt for $3, $4, or $5? You ever wonder how you can do that? Well, I think I just helped. Do you ever wonder that? You guys, you buy a really inexpensive T-shirt, right? Because you want to buy the least expensive T-shirts because that's more money that can go to the children, right? So have you ever thought, how can I buy a T-shirt so inexpensively? How's that possible? We could source it? Go. Bro, the sourcing it to our supply chain guy, have you wondered that? No. Have you wondered that? Do you wonder how that sweatshirt's so inexpensive? Because that's a nice sweatshirt. You ever wonder it? Anyone wonder that? Am I the only one in here that thinks about this stuff? Because, whatever. So, anyway, look. So, I will guarantee, absolutely, it's not even a question, I will guarantee that the vast majority of those T-shirts are made with some degree of, if not entirely, from sweatshop labor, okay? Children, including children, that they have slavery in the picking of the cotton, so that the children who are picking the cotton, I want to go back here. So I want to go here, first off. So we're trying to raise money for these children here, and these children are being poisoned, okay? Other children are working in sweatshops so that we can make these T-shirts here, okay? Now, here's the deal. I've already said I think THON is one of the most, if not the single most coolest thing that happens at Penn State. And for 6 to 7 years now, I've been talking about this issue with THON people and saying, look, I can guarantee that we are contributing to not only cancer among children who are picking cotton, but also to sweatshops and sweatshop labor. Horrific conditions. Children as young as 8 years old, 7 years old, etc., right? So how is that? So make sense of it to me. I'm putting you in, you're in a no-win situation. You didn't know any of this, okay? I don't expect you to know any of it. Nobody else. How many of you in the class knew all of this that I'm talking about today? How many of you? How many people? Bro, a few, 1, 2, 3. Anybody else? 4. Okay. So that's not for a few people, right? Make sense of it to me. What do you think? What are you thinking just right now? What are you thinking? Do you want to go? I don't expect you to have an answer even. So just whatever's in your head, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, whatever's in your head. And bro, what I want to know about you is, as an Indian who's here at Penn State, which means you're privileged, how do you not know this? About Indian slave labor? Come on, man. I thought everybody knew that. Anyway, but go ahead. Go with the two of you.
Well, first of all, I didn't know about this, but it's only THON can only reach so far, and there's I feel like with anything, okay, never mind, that's gonna sound bad if I say that.
No, listen. No, be really clear. There's no right answer. I basically I'm asking you a question that you should not be able to answer. At best, you could simply go and think about it for about 2 or 3 weeks and then come back at the end of the semester and give us an answer, because you shouldn't have an answer. So really, I'm just asking you just something off the top of your head.
We're just raising money for what we can right now. That's pretty much out of our control, but we can raise money for Four Diamonds and help the kids at Hershey Medical Center that we actually have control over, but we can't really control any like slave labor outside of the U.S. because we're only college students. Like, no one has that power yet.
Yep. I would
Maybe
agree
we have
with
a
that, by the
president
way.
in here,
No,
but-
I agree. You can't control everything, nor should anybody ask you to. I'm not asking you to. Yep, you can't control it. Got it. And you don't, I hope nobody's being snarky, like thinking, oh, you have the answer. Because I could put you up here and be like, no, you don't have the answer either. But go ahead. What are you thinking?
I mean, I think you could say this about pretty much any organization that deals with any sort of philanthropy as well. Like think of like St. Jude's or like Children's Miracle Network, like other colleges that do dance marathons. Like the shirts aren't that's not our focus.
Yeah.
THON could happen without t-shirts. They're kind of just like, I don't want to say like a luxury, but the purpose of them is just for families and other volunteers that come to tell the difference between like somebody that's dealing with the family. So families know, light blue goes to this person, or if there is an emergency, they know to go to this person. But I think this is not, obviously is an issue, but it's not exclusive to this organization.
Yep, yeah, definitely not. It's like Penn State. Y'all, you're at Penn State, right? Those of you who are anti-war, Penn State gets almost $1 billion a year in DoD research contracts. So if you're anti-war, why are you at Penn State? What are you doing here? Right? Bro.
Yo, last thought.
Last comment. How do you not know about this?
I mean, I know about the forced labor in India, but I've never heard that it's the largest in the world. So,
yeah. Now you know. Hey, so here's the deal. Class isn't over yet, by the way. The most important part of class is going to happen in about 20 seconds. Here's what I want from the two of you. I want you just to think, and I just wanted the tall one up here. Now, you can come back too. I just want you to think about it. Imagine that you actually could do something about it. Something. Have a little bit. THON is really big, my friends. THON's really big. And I'm just imagining if you thought big, like thinking about supply chain in West Africa, if you thought big, what might be possible? Maybe nothing, but since you haven't thought about it yet, why don't you come back and later in the semester I'm going to bring you back up and see if you came up with anything. Cool? Yo, thanks, man.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, seriously. All right, yo. Okay, we have two very special guests. I am, man.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
I am.
Thank you.
This is Chilovia and Taylor, and they're gonna. Go ahead. You're on, my friends.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm Taylor.
And I'm Chilovia.
And we teach a class called Social 297. It is a foundational facility. Hi, Gabe. Thanks for the shout out.
Here, actually.
Yeah,
we
we're
need
gonna
you.
use you. Gabe.
Yes.
Brielle.
Come on.
Thank you. But don't trip. Take your time. Okay. Just chill for a second. We'll get to you. So we teach a foundational facilitation class. All the dialogues that you all participate in throughout the semester, remember you have to go to 5 to get credit. We teach those facilitators. So every time you go into a room and there's 2 people sitting across from each other, they're giving you your attendance sheets. They're usually the ones asking you questions, reflecting. Those are our students. And that is a part of a bigger organization called World in Conversation, also known as WINC. And we are the biggest dialogue center, at least in the U.S., if not the world, based in a university.
Yeah.
Would you add to that?
Yeah, so basically we, as World in Conversation, we host facilitated dialogues. We do them for your class as well as other classes throughout the university. And you all might be thinking, what is a facilitator? So a facilitator is someone that we train, and we're training them to be able to sit in these rooms, discuss contentious topics, social topics, hold a neutral perspective so that everyone in the room can express their views and think about something together.
Mm-hmm. And so then you might be wondering, why did we call Gabe down? Why is Gabe here giving us fingers up in the second row? Gabe, what do you do at World in Conversation?
So Gabe right now is a foundational facilitator. So he's one of our students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm one of like the very few people that's actually still taking this class that also facilitates. So that's definitely like a good thing on my part, because I definitely see like some familiar faces of like some of the people that I have in my dialogue sessions. But pretty much like from what you guys observe, especially working with me, pretty much you just kind of look for the social issues that we talk about in Sam's class and give you guys a platform to kind of build on it and elaborate in your own sense. And obviously just kind of address some things that, you know, you may have not been clarified with in class and whatnot. But yeah, just my job as a facilitator is just to encourage that open dialogue, you know, amongst you guys. And yeah.
I like that you said encourage open dialogue, because we are not a center for conflict resolution or mediation. It's more like conflict revolution, and we're really trying to change things and really just provide the space for all voices and all perspectives to get the chance to be understood.
Okay, so we have 1 minute. Tell
my
folks
God,
how to
Sam,
apply.
where's he even coming from? Sam.
I'm
So
right here.
how do you become a facilitator?
How to become a facilitator? Give me a link. Yeah. Okay, so if you go to this link, worldinconversation.org/opportunity, you'll see a page with a little blurb, and you'll get the option to select to register for kind of a group interview. In that group interview, you'll be facilitated by 2 staff members at World in Conversation. And then if you are selected to be part of the team after that, then you will become a foundational facilitator.
Yep. So if you are someone who has been to one of your dialogues and you're thinking, wow, I really enjoyed this, I want to keep talking about this, there are more things I want to say, then definitely follow that link.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's leaving, so if you have more questions, just come down here.
You'll be back next week to answer questions for
That's
sure.
you.
Yo, if you have questions, come talk to them.